Robbie, welcome to Ghana, and pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too.
You're a YouTube icon. I mean, every Arsenal fan would have seen a video of you talking to people. I think for me, I sort of dived in and out, but during the last maybe 2 years of Wenger's period at Arsenal, I was on there every day to see what new content there was. What was the inspiration?
The inspiration was just being a lifelong Arsenal fan. I wanted to create a platform where, just anybody who's a fan of Arsenal, whether you be anywhere in England, anywhere around the world, Ghana, wherever, if you want to have your say about Arsenal, you can have it. Because I just felt at the time there was no other platform that existed like that where anybody could have their say. So that was the inspiration behind it. And started off in 2012 and we're still going strong. Mm-hmm. And it's just been an incredible journey since then.
I must say it is an incredible journey because, sports media generally has always had, what would refer to as, legacy institutions, but never has one person started anything in sports media and grown it to the level that you've done this. At what point did you choose to stop being a building surveyor and go into
You done your homework.
this?
Yeah, I was a building surveyor. I mean, it was about, say, 4 years into doing it. So when I was doing AFTV at first, I was still working as a building surveyor.
Wow.
So, and it would be very challenging, because that job was quite an intense and busy job. But the good thing about it is that I had to visit a lot of properties. So I'd have to go out on the road a lot. So what used to be pretty good about it is that, say for instance, in the transfer season, and it's breaking news about transfers, I'd be driving in my car, I'd have my suit on, and I'd listen to the radio, or I'd get an alert on my phone that, Arsenal have just signed such and such. So then I'd pull over my car, I'd take off my jacket, take off my shirt, go in the boot, in the trunk, I'd have an Arsenal shirt, put that on, set my phone up on a little tripod, film just the top half so you couldn't see my trousers work.
Wow.
And then I'd just do a show, right? Then I'd send it to my editor who would upload it, and then I'd just continue on work. So that fact that I was on the road, that helped me a lot. But yeah, after about 4 years, I was like, no, this is too much now. I have to make a decision. It's either, well, it was a very easy decision, but financially, it was still really challenging, because I was just like, I'm not really making enough money off of this yet to leave this job. But if I don't leave this job right now, I'm never going to be able to build this to where I want to get this to. So I just made the decision then that, no, I'm going to leave the job, and then I've just focused on it full time. And that's the best decision I ever made, because since then, the growth of it has been extraordinary. Till now we've got studios, about 4 studios in North London. We've got, we've got 25 people working for us, and that's just the permanent staff. There's more people as well, because we've also got the DR Sports brand as well, which is really flying at the moment as well. So it's been a real journey. It's been a real journey. And like you said, we came up against a lot of challenges, because you explained it very well there, but you're up against the established media in the UK that has been sort of always done their thing in a certain way. And then you come along as a bit of a disruptor, and you are doing it in a very different way, and you're giving voices to people who have never had voices before. So it's been challenging along the way, but it's been really, really good.
Well, fantastic stuff. I mean, 2012, 2024, that's what, 12 years. 12 years. In making that decision to stop and focus full-time on AFTV, did you have to consult family, or was this a decision that you took all by yourself?
Yeah, no, I consulted family. I think, they realized that, this is taken over my life already. So they realized that I was going to do it. So, but yeah, I consulted family, but I think the decision was easy. because it was like, this was me now. I was like,
This is a club you love.
And that's why it's such a great thing doing this, because it's fun doing it.
Yeah.
But because it's the club you love, even though, you know, you could have a lot of weekends where you wish you didn't support that club, you know what I mean? Because it brings a lot of misery to your weekend as well. But yeah, you know what I mean? And just being, what I enjoyed the most about it is just being around fans, you know, other people who support the same club that you do, and not all the time your own fans, like just being around fans. So like if you know, like last
fans
week,
of the beautiful game.
Yeah, if you're playing Liverpool and you're just around all the Liverpool fans and all the banter and back and forth between you, and you know, if you're playing Chelsea or if you're playing whoever, you know what I mean? And then also one of the things that I've always really enjoyed about this is the traveling. You know, I've been very fortunate to travel to a lot of, well, right around the world, different continents, you know what I mean? Australia, America, China, you know, Russia, like ridiculous places where I probably wouldn't have gone to had it not been for this, you know, and it's taken me all over the place.
Unless they need a building surveyor there.
Sorry?
Unless they may need a building surveyor.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'd have better ones than me, you know what I mean, in those countries, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's a fantastic thing. And then you come to like a country like Ghana, and this has just been amazing for me, because another one of the things that I've been really passionate about is, you know, coming to Africa. You know what I mean? I see the passion of the football fans from Africa, you know what I mean? Whether it be in London, whether it be, you know, at games, you know, or whether it just be the messages that we receive all the time from African fans. And I was always like, you know what, one thing I want to do is get over to Africa, speak to fans on the ground over there, and also show people around the world the passion of the African football fan.
Right.
And we did one in Nigeria previous to this where we went over there, and that was brilliant. And I'm really happy how it's going over here as well, because I think, again, the videos that we put out already, you know, people have, the reaction has been fantastic, you know what I mean? And people are like really appreciating the fans from Ghana, the passion, and also the country. They're seeing the country, maybe a country that, you know, maybe they'll consider visiting in the future because they've been able to see us there having a lot of fun.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you're having a lot of fun. I'll come to that in a bit. But I'm glad you consulted family. And the reason I say so is because, I mean, family plays a very pivotal role in everybody's life. How would you describe the family you grew up in?
The family I grew up in was a very close-knit family. I've got 3 other brothers. We're all Arsenal fans.
Nice.
We're all football mad. And my dad was like football. What I describe my dad as sports mad. Like you come in our house and that's all he watched was sports. Or the news.
Okay.
Right? And that's all he watched. And he's my dad's from Jamaica. Massive cricket fan. Loves his cricket, loves his football. And like, we just used to like be watching sport all the time. And between me and my brothers, like, we'd just be arguing over football, cricket, rugby, whatever.
All right.
So it was a passionate sports house. And then you'd have my mum, she'd come in and say, don't you guys ever watch anything else apart from football or cricket or whatever like that? So that's where it all come from. I mean, I've got another brother who's also into sports. He works on BBC. He's in charge of all football now. On
Fantastic.
BBC, he's like, you know, he was the person who came up with they've got a show Match of the Day, and they've got another show called Match of the Day 2. He came up with that concept, you know what I mean? But even still, when me and him meet up, we met up the other day, me, him, and my other brothers, and we still argue about football and you know, sports like how we used to do, because we was arguing the other day, and we was like, yo, that's the same way we used to argue around the dinner table, around the, you know what I mean? So we were a close-knit family. We were a very close-knit family. We're still very close, you know, even though my brother lives in Manchester. I've got 2 other brothers who, they live in London. I live just outside London now, but we still talk. One of my brothers works with me, and then my other brother, yeah, we have a little group. We're talking every day.
Okay.
So we're close. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, family's everything, if you ask me.
Everything, yeah.
So let's move away from what you've accomplished and just have a chat about your time in Ghana. At what point did you decide that, okay, I've done Nigeria, I've been around 5 continents, maybe it's time to go to Ghana?
Yeah, well, the Ghana one was really interesting because, like, as I said, I wanted to start doing African countries. So we did Nigeria first. And then I was looking at where to go next because I was like, Kenya, there's loads of supports there. We get loads of people from there, and South Africa, Uganda, these countries, and Ghana. And obviously we've got a Ghanaian player in Thomas Partey. And then I was at this conference, Soccer X, in Miami, and I was speaking on it. And the first person I met, like, when I walked through the door, was a guy called Joseph from AGSM UK. And he's like, oh yeah, he just started talking to me, and he goes, oh man, we'd love to bring you to Ghana. I was thinking, I go, boy, come to think of it, you know, we're thinking about going Ghana and that. And we just, from that conversation, that was in November last year.
That's right.
And he was going, yeah, man, I would love to hook something to work together with you and try and see if we could make it happen. And I said, yeah, and we exchanged numbers and we spoke. And from there, we've just ended up, you know, till we've arrived here right now. And that's how a lot of things happen. Yeah, in a short window of 3 months, they pulled it together. You know what I mean? They've made it happen, and it's been brilliant since we've been there. I mean, this has gone beyond my expectations. Yeah. It really has. I mean, I knew it would be good, and I know a lot of Ghanaians in England. Yeah, and they're all telling me, yeah, go here, go there, do this, do that, right? And you know, but when it's not until you come here, you know, and then you see the rich culture. That's been the thing that's really struck me. It's been the rich culture of the country, you know. We went to the Cape Coast. That was a very moving experience for me to go there. You know, as I said to you earlier, my parents are Jamaican. So, you know, you see really where it all started. Sure. You know, my dad, when he was growing up, always used to say to us as kids, he used to say, you're not English, you're not Jamaican, you're African. And we used to be like, Dad, yeah, but we've never been to Africa. We've been to Jamaica. Right. We live in London, live in Luton as well. Well, where does the African part come into it? He said, you learn your history. He goes, every black person is African. That's what he used to say. Then I come and I'm there. Obviously, I've learnt my history over the years. But then when you come and you see it. And it all comes full circle. And I found myself the other day just looking out over the ocean at the top of the sort of fort. And just looking out at the ocean, I'm thinking, wow, my forefathers were slaves that would have been in those same cells and everything. And then they would have went through that door of no return and shipped across the slaves to the Caribbean, to Jamaica, you know? So I would have, you know, I'm very passionate now. I'm thinking to myself when I go home, I want to see if I can trace and find out exactly where. What your ancestry was it from Ghana? I mean, there was other ports like the one that we went to, but that blew me away. We went to the Ashanti. Was that event yesterday? Just yesterday. Yeah. Where the Kuntunkuni Rights Festival. Yes, I think it was marking the beginning of 25 years of the King. To enforce it to the set. And they returned back all the golds. And that's right. And that was powerful for me. And you know, we were dressed in all the traditional gear, and I felt powerful there, man. You know what I mean? I felt powerful there, and that was again a really, really brilliant event that we went to, and then just all the other things, just meeting the people, just the vibe, the food. Don't ask me about jollof and Ghana versus Nigeria. Oh, we know who's winning. I'm already in enough trouble. We know. Well, I wouldn't make trouble. The Ghanaian jollof is absolutely brilliant, and the food's been brilliant. The people have been friendly. The country's been wonderful so far. You know, I mean, I've had such a good time. You know, yeah, I'd recommend this to anybody to come and visit. Fantastic. It's been fantastic. Thanks for the plug. So back to football. I mean, if you track the evolution of the typical English fan from the 80s to now, what do you think has changed about the way fans respond to decisions that are made by the clubs, the owners, and the players? I think fans always used to sort of talk about things, you know, be upset about things, be happy about things, but they never had a voice before. So you never really heard it. Now, you know, you can hear from the ordinary fan, whether it be through platforms like AFTV or just in social media in general, you know, fans are allowed to have their say. And there's good and bad in that. You know, I mean, we've seen incidents of racism and stuff like that through various digital platforms, but used properly, it's a really, really great tool. And basically now fans have a say, they have a voice. We saw when a lot of the clubs in the UK were trying to, the top 6 clubs were trying to do this break
to the Super League, yeah.
And the fans were like, the reaction from the fans is what stopped that Super League. Because basically the fans were like, we're not having this. We're not having our owners just go and break away into this Super League. They protested. They made loads of noise about it on social media, and that noise was heard. And the politicians in England then started to side with the fans and say, yeah, no, you can't just up and take a club away from these people who've been going to watch their club week in, week out for generations. And that's what stopped it. I think before the advent of things like social media and platforms like us, maybe that might not have happened. They might have got away with it, because, but now, at least we were able to hold them to account. So fans do have more of a voice now in this space. And I think it's a good thing in general. But, there can be times where it's abuse, but I think in general it's a good thing,
You mentioned issues around racism. And I see the Premier League and generally the entire English football leagues are actively, sending out word about no racism in football. It's a demon that seems to not want to go away. How much of that has changed over time? I recall the rather infamous incident with a former Ghanaian player who was playing for Everton at the time. I think it was Alex Nyako, where a fan literally jumped out of the stands and asked to swap shirts with him so he could play. And it was at a time that Everton was really going through a bad time. But it was seen as a racial incident. There's several, countless of some players.
Everton once had an owner back in I think it was the 80s, who said no black player will ever play for my club.
Wow.
Right? That's what their owner said that one time. The owner of the club, not the manager. And now look how many black players have got playing for the club. You know what I mean? So that shows you there's been a lot of change. I remember I did a documentary on TV. You can still see it. It's actually still available on
Under the Skin.
Amazon Prime. Yeah, Under the Skin. And I spoke about, what it was like to go to football, like in the late 80s, 90s, and the racism was horrendous. Compared to now, where it's improved so much. It's like, you just like, we go to games every week. We go up and down the country. You don't really see much of it at all. But that doesn't mean it hasn't gone away. There's still incidents of racism. I still get a lot of it, like on social media. Like, we can win a game, say, against a team, and I'll post a few things. And I can guarantee you that there'll be one comment or one or two comments that come back, oh, you monkey, or things like that. So it still exists, right? And some of the incidents that, that exist, I feel can easily be stamped upon, where we could just eradicate it completely. And I do feel sometimes with some of the authorities, whether it be the Premier League, who I think they're not too bad. They do take it seriously to an extent, but I don't think UEFA, I don't think FIFA take racism in football serious enough. But when it was a Super League thing, and for instance, UEFA feared that all the clubs were going to break away now and go and join this big Super League, right? They even threatened players, saying to them that, if you go to the Super League, you'll never play for your country again, you never this, you never that, right? It wasn't even the players' decision to come up with this Super League.
Yeah.
But then in racism now, they'll be like, well, actually, what we do is we'll close the stadium for a week. No fans in that. If you took it as seriously as you took the Super League breakaway, you just turn around to certain teams and say to them, listen, if this racism continues at your stadium, you're banned from all Champions League competition. Or, as a matter of fact, it's our competition, and we say that everybody in there should be equal. So if you're going to have fans that are racist, then you're not welcome in this competition, There's things they could do, like dock points off of teams. Yeah. There's lots of things that measures they can take. that would cut it out. Because if you own a football club and you think you're going to be docked 10 points for racism, you will make sure that problem is sorted.
Because it will hurt the bottom line.
Because it will hurt the bottom line, right? So if they really took it serious, I think they could stamp it out almost overnight. And I question whether UEFA sometimes and FIFA and these bodies really take it serious enough. You can say all what you want and that, but no player in 2024 should be going on a pitch and getting racially abused. But we still see it. Still see it a lot. See it a lot in Europe. You know, monkey noises and this and that, and even people like, you know, Nazi salutes and this and that. And then they're back next week.
Yeah.
Or you might close a stand for 1 week, then they're back the week after. What's the point in what's that?
Do you think that examples of protests by players like Samuel Eto'o, we've seen Balotelli, to a certain extent, former Black Star player Kevin Prince Boateng, and a few other black players. I think Vinicius as well, most recently.
There was one the other day, I think it was AC Milan. Was it Inter Milan? Mike Maignan, the keeper, where he
Yeah.
AC.
It was AC.
Yeah.
It was AC. So, I mean, do you think that's a fuse that can be lit?
Yeah, I commend all of them for doing that, but why should they have to do that? You're a footballer, you go on the pitch to play football, right? Your job is to just perform playing football. You should not be down to players to have to walk off a pitch, right? I commend them for doing it because they've just had enough and they said, I'm not going to continue playing like this, and they've had enough and they've come off, right? But it's the responsibility of the governing bodies of those different football associations to take action. So in that case, it should be Serie A saying, you know, to the club in question that if that happens again, you're getting docked points. Problem solved. Who's going to want to get docked 10 points? You see, you could be relegated financially. The consequences for your team could be devastating. They will sort it out. They will make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But it's not taken seriously. It's a little slap on the wrist. And then these guys who do it, they're back next week, or if they don't get caught, or they're back in a few weeks' time, or they find other little subtle ways to be racist.
Yeah.
So no player in 2024 should have to go for it. It's as simple as that. And it's to me, they don't take it seriously enough.
Do you think it's a systemic problem? And I asked this with regards to the number of black and people of color playing at the top level in management. I mean, we saw Vieira, Crystal Palace for a while, didn't last. I don't think there's a black manager in the Premiership this season.
There is no Nuno.
Nuno. Yeah, there's Nuno.
Nottingham Forest, yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not the only area where there's not enough black managers for starters. Look how many black people play football, brilliant players, leaders for their teams and countries. You can't get a job in management. Speak to a lot of ex-players. I've spoken to many. I'm like, why don't you get into management? They're like, yeah, what's the point? They go, boy, you go do your badges, all them things. No one's coming to give you even a job interview, right? So that's why a lot of them nowadays, like, they can't even be bothered, right? But even worse than that, how many black people are involved in the executive positions
of the football club?
Of football. Yeah. So, like, for instance, at the FA, at UEFA, at the decision-making parts of football. So I've been lucky enough to be invited to various conferences and events and that, where some of these, you know, bodies are. And sometimes I've been like the only black guy there. Or there's just a few of us there. And then I look at the boards and I'm like, hey, hold on a minute. So many black people play football, but all the board is white. You know, boards at football clubs. Arsenal, multicultural team. Rich history of black fans in an area of London that's very multicultural.
That's right.
But if you look at the board, there's no black member on that board. Now, to me, I don't think that's right. I think there should be, Tottenham. I don't think there's a black member on that board. There's not. I mean, you can go like Man United. I think Man United. They got one, but listen, like those are these are the guys making the decisions. They're the FA and that. That's what we need to change. It's starting to listen. More and more people are starting to come through. Media companies has been the same as well. But I'm one of the things I'm proud of is that since we've been doing what we've been doing, I've started to see a little bit of change in that where, you know, I'm seeing more black people in the media now in those positions in sports. But we've still got a long way to go. We've got a long way to go. And until you have people in positions where decisions are made, you're always going to have problems. Because I feel like if you had a black person, for instance, who was in a senior position, say UEFA or one of those, he'd point out exactly what I'm saying. He'd be like, yeah, hold on, wait a minute. This is our competition. We say it's an inclusive competition without no discrimination. And yet still that team there, this is the third time now they've come up with their fans making racist noise and that. No. We need to make a change in our thing where they can lose points. But who's there doing that? Who's there listening to when we're saying these things? So we need people in those positions. And that's where I feel the problem is. And it's the same with black managers. It's like, if you have got a board that is every single person on it is white, right? And listen, most of them are going to be fair. But don't you think you should have a bit more representation? That's how you get more black people into management. That's how you have more women involved in football. Like, you've got to be more inclusive in the setups of the bodies of these different associations, media companies and that, you know what I mean? But he's changing, but he's still a bit slow.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, say, 25 years, when I think the UK government started this diversity program where businesses scored points and they became more attractive for being a part of the diversity program, where I think that the slogan was equal opportunities of employers. It seems sports never got on that bandwagon.
Yeah, there are some that do it better than others, and it's not, there are some more diverse areas, but we need more. And don't get me wrong, as a black person, I don't want them to just give us a job as a token.
Yeah.
We want to earn our jobs, yeah? But you can't tell me when you look out there in football and you look at some of the great black players who were captains of their teams, countries and that, and hardly any of them in management. Yeah. You only have to look at it and say, well, why is that? Someone just has to ask the question, why? And then you start to see the reasons why, So...
We forgot Company at Burnley.
Company, he's just the other black manager. Sorry, Vincent Company. Yeah, he's the other black manager.
We forgot Company.
Yeah, we forgot Company.
It's a great conversation. Now, you started something that you started initially out of love for your club and wanting to genuinely create this level playing field where people could say what they felt about their club. It's grown into the largest fan network. You've gone mainstream, you've grown 12 years on. And it sort of spawned a lot of younger people and other people of color doing what you're doing. How do you feel about that? Was that the plan when you started?
No, that wasn't the plan. The plan was just to try to see if I can get into do big for myself. But yeah, no, it has. And it's been fantastic to see. You know what I mean? We work with a lot of them as well. And it's been great to see. I'm very proud of, of what we've helped to start. I get a lot of people coming up to me and saying, yeah, Robbie, thanks, man. You inspired me to set up my channel, or you inspired me to get into media or TV. We've had a couple of people that even been on our platform that have gone on to, there's a girl called Anita, who's right now doing really well on CBS. She started off on AFTV, so yeah, very proud of that. Okay. As I said, you're starting off in that. You're not really thinking about those things. You're not really thinking that you're bringing through another generation. But now when I start to look at it, I'm like, yeah, that could be like a legacy, but a more important legacy than even me or whatever. Because I kind of look on it now and say, I'm kind of the early guy. But there'll be guys that will come after me now. They'll be bigger than me. I look at some of the talent out there at the moment, even the talent amongst the people that we have, and I'm like, they'll be bigger than me. And there's other guys out there, I'm just like, they'll be bigger. There's so much talent. They'll be bigger than me.
But there's always the trailblazer.
Yeah, I'm the trailblazer guy. I'm cool, man. I'm cool with that. I'll take the trailblazer thing. I'll take the trailblazer thing. But they got to take it on now. They got to take it on, and they have a lot of them have the potential to be huge. You know, which is great.
So it's not all rosy. There's been 12 years of determination and a lot of work. How do you deal with sometimes, you know, backlash from social media? And this is just away from racing. I think it was a period where there were quite a number of people who were just saying AFTV. You know, when people were screaming Wenger out, there was AFTV out as well.
Yeah.
How did you take that when
it's not been easy, man? It's not been easy. Like when, you know, you got the racism stuff. You also got haters. You got people who don't, you know, jealous. A lot of jealousy starts to creep in and stuff like that. You know, I've had loads of it on social media. I've had loads of it. I've had people come up to me at a game. I still do, even to this day. The people come up to me, oh, don't like what you do. Get out of that club. Okay, yeah, it's my club too. Don't like what I do. You don't have to watch, right? So I still get it to this day. I still get it, right? But you know what? I deal with the majority, yeah. And I always say to my guys as well. I said, when you focus on if you're doing a good job, if you'll know when you're doing a good job, you'll know when you're doing a good thing, and you have to accept it's part of it. As you start to grow in anything you do, unfortunately, the way the world is, you start to get people who hate you just for you're doing something successfully. So for some reason, they start to dislike you. There's nothing you can do about it. All you got to do is don't let those people's energy ruin what you're trying to do. And so now I've really learnt that in a big way, that, you know, it used to, like, at first it used to bother me. I used to be like, I'm working my socks off just to build a platform for all fans. What's up with this guy, you know, spreading all this hate about me? Well, I ain't even done nothing to this person. I don't even know him. Right? But then after a while now, I'm just sort of like, when I look at them now, I say, well, I'm in Ghana, bro. Where are you?
Who's laughing now?
Yeah? I'm in Ghana. Where are you? So you just got to start, I mean, and then you look at it and say, then you look at the majority of people, because you know what? You've got what they call the silent majority sometimes, where they don't make up a lot of noise. So you can look on a video sometimes and, you know, videos with comments, you might say 5 comments where people have been very negative about you or the video or whatever. And you think, all right. But then you look and you say, hold on, wait a minute. There was 1,000 comments on that video. 5 people were negative.
There's no point dwelling on them.
If those 5 people are going to bother you, to be honest, you're a fool.
Yeah.
You're a fool, you know what I mean? If you're going to make fools bother you, then you're a fool yourself. So you've got to have that, start building that. It's not easy at first, because when I've been at YouTube conference one time when they were talking about, like, they were warning YouTubers, because YouTube is a space and social media is a space that you can blow up quite quick. You become very popular quite quick sometimes. And there was a lot of people there that was talking about how much hate they get. There was some women who, they do things like lots of stuff to do with cosmetics, stuff like that. And they were saying, at first, wonderful. And then they go, the amount of hate they get. And then so these people at YouTube was teaching them, you know, and saying, you know, just, you know, ignore it. But some of them were saying they find it very difficult to ignore. So it's not easy. But, you know, I'm all right with it now.
Well,
you know, I'm in Ghana.
Let's talk about our beloved club, Arsenal. I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan too, lifelong. Somehow I managed to not follow my dad to Liverpool. And I have two sons. One's an Arsenal fan, and the other one is a United fan. But I'll fix that when I write when I write my will. But on a more serious note, you've followed the club for a long time. You've gone through the George Graham days, the Wenger era, the Invincibles. I mean, the rebuilding years. Would you say that we're at the point where the club is ready for the next level?
I think Mikel Arteta's doing a great job. I really do. I think he came in and he said he's going to get the team back challenging again. He's got the team back challenging. You know, and this is a very difficult league to win now. I think it's even harder to win it than when we used to win it under Arsene Wenger. Because, you know, you've got, you know, Liverpool, you've got Man City, you've got every single club in that Premier League spending millions and millions upon, you know, on players. So Mikel Arteta's got us back challenging now. So I think he's doing a really good job. And I'm very optimistic about the future. I do think, I'm not sure if it's going to be this year, but I do think this Arsenal team is going to win the league.
You think this team will?
I think this
season or the next?
I don't know if it's going to be this season. I don't know if we're still going to be a bit short, but I think if it's not this season, within the next couple of years, this Arsenal's team and squad I think is going to win the league. I'll be disappointed if we didn't. We're heading in the right direction. We've got very good players. You know, players like Declan Rice, they're amongst the best around. Mm-hmm. You know, so we're heading in the right direction. We really are. And for a very long time, we've been directionless. And Mikel Arteta's got us heading in a direction which is to win things, and I like it.
And I mean, there was one thing that last season brought back some painful memories. Typically, even in the Wenger era, Arsenal was seen as this team that fell apart after the winter break or the January window. Last season, about the same time this year, we went off to Liverpool and gave away a 2-goal lead.
Yep, I was there.
And that started the, you know...
When we was 2-0 up in that game, I thought we was going to win the league.
Wow.
I thought, you know, we hold on to this and we win this. I think we can win this league. And like you said, we threw it away. Then the funny thing is, the week after, it was West Ham.
Yeah.
And we were 2-0 up there as well. Me and the man over there, Cecil, we was there. And we're like, you know what? This is easy. We're going to beat these all easy. And then they got one back. Then we even got a penalty after that.
Yep, and we blew that.
And they came. And after that game, I feel those two games, the sequence of those two games is where we lost momentum. Mm-hmm. And then that led to us like falling apart. Yeah. So the one good thing was we just played Liverpool, we beaten them. Hopefully we can beat West Ham as well. So, and the momentum starts to go in the other way, but still got to get past Man City. Liverpool still above us as well. It's going to be tough, really tough from now till the end of the season. There'll be a lot of pressure.
I think if we did, I don't know what you think, but if the mentality that until that West Ham game, or maybe until the West Ham game of last season, do you think that mentality could help? And if Arsenal had some players back, like Kieran Timber, if Thomas Partey is back in.
Listen, without doubt, we get them two back. That would be huge. You've seen with City, as soon as they've got back De Bruyne and that, look how all of it. Yeah, so Thomas Partey was brilliant for us last year. We could really do with him being back from now till the end of the season. Timber was our best player in pre-season. He was amazing. He would have been brilliant this season. He's been a big miss. Last season, you know, the injuries done us. You know, I mean, we started to bring in guys like Rob Holding for Saliba. They just weren't the same standard. Yeah. So if we can sort of not get too many injuries between now and the season, get players back, we've got a chance. And like you said, you know, sometimes it's about learning from your mistakes. Mm-hmm. And if we can learn from the mistakes of last year, hopefully that can help push us over the line. But you also need a lot of luck. This year, there's a lot of teams pushing for. It's really tight up there.
It is.
It's so tight, and there's a lot of teams up there that can beat each other. So it's tough.
And you know, the funny thing is that one of the interesting things about the Premiership this season, maybe over the last few years, but more so this season, is that you couldn't call a game before it started, even if it's a Manchester United playing Brentford or, you know.
Yeah.
It just...
That's the Premier League.
It's difficult to call the game.
Even more now. The Premier League now, I mean, there's so many teams that have got good players. Look at West Ham. Now, Mohamed Kudus will get into any of the teams in the top 4, right? Jared Bowen probably would. So would Lucas Paqueta.
Yeah.
Right? Agerd would probably have a shout. You know what I mean? They've got players right throughout their team, right, that would get into, you know, they've got Calvin Phillips, who's just come from Man City. You know, these are you're coming up against these teams. So if you're not 100%, they'll beat you.
Yeah.
They've beaten us twice this season already, West Ham.
Yeah, they have.
So it's not like you're looking at teams now and like it's, you know, sometimes a team turns over another team's an absolute shock. You look at some teams and the players they've got and you're like, hey, they've got a lot of quality in their team. If it's not, you know, and that is why the Premier League, for me, is the hardest league to win.
That's right.
By far now. Much harder than Bundesliga, much harder than La Liga. La Liga, I know you've got Girona up there this year, but it's only a few teams that can ever.
True.
But there's so many teams in the Premier League that have a lot of quality. Teams down at the bottom, they're loaded with international players.
Yeah.
Loaded.
What would you say Ghana could learn from developing a product like the Premier League? I mean, TV rights alone is well above. I think last time I checked, it was about $9.5 billion dollars for just TV rights. Pounds at that for TV rights. But this is a product that was started from the old football league, and it became attractive to big talent from around the world. What are some of the things we can learn from that?
Well, it's about, I think it's about creating a league where the whole focus of it is to have a good competition. So when I look at the difference, for instance, between the Premier League and those other leagues, it is because the way in which they share out the TV money is more even. So a team that evens down the bottom of the league gets a lot of money from the TV appearance, and they can use that to reinvest in their team and get stronger. And then you then have better games because you're seeing better players playing all the time. Whereas if you look in things like La Liga, where the majority of the TV money goes to Barcelona and Real Madrid and a little bit to Atletico, and then nobody else really gets anywhere near, you just have two teams that win it every year. Anytime they're playing the other teams, you know what's going to happen really, unless it's an absolute shock. The league starts to become a bit boring, right? So I think the Premier League has shown that, like, very, make it a level playing field for everyone, and it's more even competition. Make sure that everybody shares, the money's distributed quite equally amongst all the teams in the competition. And then you start to get a better competition. You start to get a better product, and I think that's what the Premier League has got. They've got a very good product.
I'll go into this in a couple of minutes, but I can't do this without talking about Claude. 3 months on, a member of your team. How have you all pulled together?
It was very sad. When he passed away during the COVID times. And I always look at it and think that COVID was the reason why he passed away. Because COVID, Claude, he had issues, but anytime football was on, that all the issues just disappeared, right? So I remember one time he was having sort of some mental health issues, and I went to see him. It was in the summer. I was like, "God, what's wrong?" And he goes, "Robbie, I'll tell you the truth, I miss football, man." He goes, "Because when football's on, I feel like I'm around my family. I'm around people every day, fans, Whereas when football, COVID was on and football stopped and all that, I think it really affected him, and he didn't really get out and about. So it was really sad when he passed away. And we do this game every year in his memory where we raise funds for a charity that his daughter started, which helps to young kids and that, brings them to games and stuff like that. So I'm really proud to do that. But I do miss him, man. He was such a character.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, it's been great talking to you, Rob.
No, it's been great talking to you as well.
I'm glad you're here, and we'll see you on at the viewing.
Yeah.
And hopefully Arsenal will win.
Well, definitely. So right now, right, that's the thing about this season, there's no margin for error.
Yeah.
You draw a game, it's like, it's the end of the world, you know what I mean? And I don't know whether to look forward from now till the end of the season, because it's going to be like that every week. We're going to have that, man. Yeah. It's going to be like stressful, very, very stressful. But like hopefully, if we could win it this year, we have to come back to Ghana for a party.
Well, I look forward to that. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure talking to you and meeting you.
Thank you.
Well, that was Rob Lyle, founder of AFTV. And for me, I'm just taking away three very important things. Family is important in deciding whether to try and juggle running AFTV or focusing on AFTV full-time and move away from the work of building surveyor. He consulted family, still consults family. They're still tight-knit. And if you have that backbone, you could go places. The other thing is also to always start something and do it passionately. You never know how many other people are going to be inspired by what you're doing. Today, there are lots of other people going into mainstream sports media in the UK who are people of color because somebody started it in 2012. And the final thing for me is just be curious. You know, he's been here and he's gone to Cape Coast, he's gone to learn a bunch of stuff, he's gone to Kumasi, he's met the king, he's learned the culture, and I'm sure his life is a lot richer than it was before. Yours can be too. We're back with more on the Asaase Breakfast Show. Stay with us.